Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, birds and raccoons, we're here for a mini podcast episode. That's going to be a YouTube exclusive. It's not going to be on Spotify or any of those. Just because, again, it's only going to be 35, 40 minutes. So why waste your guys' time on that and also an upload? So I'm going to be joined here with Dave. So it's a Dave and Dash mini pod because we're the only ones available currently because everyone's crying in the corner about the current results. But Dave, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right. It was a tough loss, of course. We're gonna get into that. But overall, I'm still alive. We're still here. Life goes on. How about you?
To be honest, I'm annoyed, but like I'm not losing my shit and I'm not spamming some garbage on social media right now. I'm not, doing anything like that. But
there's other shit I'm more annoyed with.
Yeah. There is like and we'll get into it. We'll get into some Allegri stuff. We're not going to sit here and spam Allegri out for 35 minutes. So if you're expecting me to be your psychological release of saying Allegri out for 35 minutes, I hate to break it to you guys. Click off, go watch someone else that's going to whine and complain for 35 minutes. We're going to try to break it down. We're going to try to have some objective conversations here, and we're going to try to see if we can find some solutions.
Yeah, because nothing's more annoying. And this happened yesterday, and I kind of, as if the loss wasn't bad enough, but you have people on the live stream. We were on the Twitch yesterday for it, and people that are silent the whole match, the whole hour and a half, hour 45, and then in the last 5 minutes, Allegri out, Allegri out, Allegri out. What are you trying to do? You think this is what? You're being a child, essentially. Like I care that you think Allegri out at this. What do you want me to do about it, right? And what are you accomplishing by saying it? I know that's probably what you feel, what you think, but like, come on, guys, just chill out with it.
It's ironic because people that make that argument that just sit there and yell Allegri out, get Zidane in, are going to be the same people when Zidane loses 3 matches in a row with this really unexciting squad, and then they're going to say Zidane out, Zidane out, Zidane out. Like, where are the Thomas Tuchel fans after look at what Thomas Tuchel is doing at Bayern Munich? Absolutely disaster show where they have essentially flopped out of almost every single competition that they're in. And And where's the Thomas Tuchel stands? Because those were the same people in October that said, fire Allegri, bring in Thomas Tuchel. Like, for me, can we sit here and just have, like, for example, Juventini, and I'm asking you guys, can we sit here and analyze the game, the way that we're playing, the players, how they're playing, and the coach's performance, and sit there and say, hey, these are the things that's just not working over the past 3 or 4 weeks. We need to adjust it. Instead of sitting there saying, Allegri out. Okay, great. What's your solution? Allegri out. How are you going to get to your solution? Allegri out. Okay, great. You've stated the problem. How are you going to fix it? We bring in Zidane. Okay, great. What are you going to do for Zidane? Zidane's going to take this entire squad and make them win the treble. All right, congratulations. If that's your thought process, power to you. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh when it fails, as it will. But come on, guys.
We're just looking for more objectivity, right? And that's what we're here to do, is to try to tease out that objectivity, look at things at a more strategic perspective instead of just focusing on a single person, which honestly is not fair. You can't blame a whole team. They call it a team, right? You can't blame it on one guy. So I'm going to start off this quote here from Guido Vecchiago on Tutto Sport. Juve, should we talk about football? The extraordinary work of Allegri in managing the psycho-emotional aspect of the squad that was done during the storm can't hide forever the resounding limitations of his Juventini. So that the translation, there's some imperfections in there, I understand, but is basically saying, like, look at the squad he's given. It's not just Allegri. You can't just blame it on Allegri. If you brought in Zidane right now, let's not even talk about how ridiculous it is. There's a month left in the season. We might get a 5 weeks left if we go all the way into Europa. But a month left. And what, now? How about the sporting director? How about the whole management team that needs to be replaced, that will be getting replaced? You start at the manager? So Dash, man.
So let's think. The thing is like, you have to do an overhaul. You can't it can't be a one plug fix. We've said this in the call-in show, we've said this all the time, honestly. To be honest with all of you folks, the second we were handed that 15-point deduction, the season was done. The season was done. It's whatever we got, whatever we got in Europa League or Coppa Italia. Again, we were playing on house money. I'm going to be honest with you. The season was done because when you look at it and how internally it jacked everything up, because like, for example, we started off kind of rough. We came back 8 games. We won. We weren't playing pretty, but we were getting results. And then you slap a 15-point deduction right after a 5-1 loss to Napoli. Absolutely. That's it. In my opinion, Scudetto out the window, regardless if we can continue to win streak or something.
And when they tentatively gave us those points back, it was the day before the second leg to Sporting / the day of, because they just kept on delaying it, like just to mess with emotions. Like that's what Guido was talking about here. It's like the emotional management of players. It amazes me that people continue to think that these footballers are robots. Like some of them are 19. Like, if you're older than 19, think back to when you were 19. Because sometimes I do that just to remind myself how retarded I was. Just think about you. You were so dumb at that age, so inexperienced. Some people, okay, I mean, there are exceptions, but you have guys like Moretti, Fagioli, okay, 22, still young. I mean, my balls didn't drop until my 30s, really, if you think about it. Like, and don't pretend yours didn't. Like, think about that. Think about that. Your man balls, your win balls, whatever version you're using, just think about that for a second. Like, are you at the maturity level of these guys at that age? Or were you? Because these guys have millions upon millions of supporters that they play for every week. And if you think that's easy, you go do it. Right now, I don't care. Get, like, not even to play football. Just go in front of a million people and talk. And tell me you don't shit your pants. Challenge you. If not, like, come on, shake your head. Let's be reasonable about this, and let's think through these things. Speaking of huge outbursts.
The thing is like, you look at it from a psyche perspective. You look at it, let's be in the head of Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic is the highest earner in the team. So we don't qualify for Champions League. He's sitting there thinking in his head, do I still have a job here?
Mm-hmm.
Am I gone? Am I going somewhere? If I'm going somewhere, where am I going?
How many of you have not known if they're going to have a job the next day? Layoffs happen at the company, pandemic happens. Have you been in that situation? Try to extrapolate the data.
The thing is like, I keep getting the argument where everyone's like, oh, well, that's what the agent's for. The footballer just plays football. No, dude, the footballer tells the agent, hey, I need this, or I need to go here. Or the agent tells the footballer, hey, this isn't looking too good. We're looking at some options. That's going to be in the back of that player's mind. Like, for example, look, I think we've noticed, and I think we can all objectively agree, Dusan does not handle pressure quite well. It's a thing, is it not? I mean, it's okay. The kid deleted his social media because they got to him. Because the pressure got to him, he needed to step away. Perfectly fine. He's a kid. He's 22, 23 years old. Perfectly fine. Yes, does he need to, finish chances? Yes, he does. Does the coach also need to give him a little bit more tactical leanness? Yes, we can argue that. We can sit here and talk for that all the time.
And do we need a sporting director that will give us the players? Do we have the management team to support that? That's the thing. That's why just saying Allegri out is dumb. It's a whole club restructuring at this point. So let's look at that. Dash, because we have to roll with this. Let's look at the solution at least instead of just throwing out all the issues. What do we need to make this better?
First thing first, I think we need to figure out, is this board that we currently have the final board?
No, it's not. We know it's not.
So that's one thing. You need to finalize your board of directors. Who's going to be there? Because right now it's a temporary board to fix the financial issues that have been going on. So that's step uno. Step two, board needs to figure out where they want to go. Youth focused, Italian focused, European focused, whatever focused. Step two, Step 3, find a sporting director that can make that happen, or a general manager for our American folk or our Western folk. That's step 3. Step 4, find a coach that believes in the same philosophy as the sporting director.
Step 4.
Step 4. That's step 4. And then step 5, get the players. Sell, bring in the players that you need after you've evaluated them, and you and your coach, sporting director and coach, are in unison with the direction that the club wants to go. Because with all due respect to Zidane, he's a man manager. So if you want him to be a man manager, you need to give him pieces. Because him and Allegri, hate it as much as you want. Maybe Allegri is a more outdated version of Zidane, or Zidane's a newer version of Allegri, vice versa. Don't really care. Same philosophy. Let the geniuses cook. That's their coaching style. Let him cook, in theory. I got guys that can cook. I give them the freedom to do what they want, and that's it. And make shit happen. Make plays happen.
Yeah.
They are coaches that put your team in a tactical position. Arguably, Allegri did not do that quite well against Inter because, yes, we're giving him praise, but we're also going to tear into him a little bit. Allegri's always been this way. Put the team in a tactical position to win. Players need to make plays. Players didn't make plays for him. They haven't made plays this season. Like I said, and we're going to talk about the formation too. Kostic has been absolutely atrocious since the international break. And we catered our 3-5-2 to Kostic. And Kostic is not performing, so the entire system fails. Because whether we want to admit it or not, we did the 3-5-2 because it worked for Kostic, not because it worked overall for the team. It worked for Kostic and Bremer more so. And Kostic carried us until he couldn't carry us anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and we have those pieces coming back with Chiesa, Pogba, DiMaria's there, and we are into that. We're on to the second point. We're done with the last one. Just so we're clear and concise here. We are post gaming now. We're going to spend a few minutes on that. So yeah, continue, Dash.
So we'll talk about that. Let's talk about the game, right? So I'm going to say this: the number one person I'm going to blame for this is Allegri. I gave him some leeway, but now I'm going to hold him accountable. He got the starting lineup atrociously wrong because he played DiMaria, he played Chiesa as your center forwards. Those two they're not that guy for that system, the 3-5-2. Again, why? Catering to Kostic, a little bit to Bremer and Bonucci, getting them in. Because the reason is, and I've said this, the reason why Allegri plays a 3-5-2 is because he does not trust his defenders. It's always been the case. If you guys disagree with me, watch Bremer one-on-one with Dzeko. He absolutely got cooked.
Yeah, that was not a good look.
In a 3-5-2, it's hard for your center backs to really get exposed, isolated on a one-on-one, but they did. And you see what happens when they do. Because with a 3-5-2, you bunch up the middle and you really force them to kind of come through you, especially when you do a low block. So when you saw that, that's one of the reasons why he plays a 3-5-2. Do I agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. I think the team plays better in a 4-3-3. We kind of saw, again, it wasn't great, but we saw more progression in a 4-3-3. Allegri got that wrong, in my opinion. I don't know if he was trying to rest Milik or whatever, but the second we swapped in the second half, which I think we should have started off the start from it, but the second we took Kostic off, we put Milik on, switched to a 4-3-3, we started seeing some stuff.
It did look a lot better.
Unfortunately, again, it wasn't enough to really get any momentum or anything because Inter were kind of just dicking around. They got the goal. Let's just sit back because Juve's attack is out of sync.
And we would have done the same thing.
Yes, and we would have because they played shithouse ball in a sense. You know, they played terrorism ball, as a lot of people call it.
Allegri terrorist ball.
Allegri terrorist ball. So the thing is yes, this game Allegri got atrociously wrong. He did. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna deny that. It wasn't a good game by him. But the thing is like he got that wrong, but he tried to adjust it in the second half. And the thing is like we also need to hold players accountable. Because the thing is everybody is so quick to switch the blame from, like, for example, yesterday, everyone's like, oh, hey, Dusan missed a ton of chances and blah, 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 trying to be smartasses about it. Where it's like, guys, man, we're adults here. Can we not sit here and say, this guy had this issue and that guy had this issue? Why are we straw manning so many arguments right now? It's always straw man this. It's left or right. It's up or it's down. Like, guys, it's a two-way street here. So when I look at it, and the thing is like when I look at that first half, it's force the ball to Kostic and hope something happens. That's what we did for the entire month of April. And this is where I kind of hold Allegri accountable for it, where it's like, dude, it's not working. Kostic is either way too tired, or in my case, what I saw teams figuring out Kostic. So what did Inter do? Double on the left, double on our left, double team Kostic to hold Kostic back from either delivering an accurate cross or even crossing at all. Because Kostic, for the last couple of weeks, they figured him out. And here's one of the things about Serie A that people don't understand or underrate. Teams spend enormous amounts of time trying to tactically figure you out. If you look at these last recent years, no team has consistently dominated. Inter won it that one year, got found out and lost the next season. AC Milan won it last season, got found out, looks terrible this year. Napoli dominated for a good chunk of the season. Milan exposed them, and everyone's starting to take notes for it. Arguably, we should have beaten them, barring some BS calls. But Napoli does not look like the Napoli they looked previously. Because Serie A, again, Serie A is diabolical in that sense, where they spend meticulous amounts of time trying to figure out how you work. Dusan, dominant goal scorer this season, shadow of himself. Even with the Capocannonieri for the top teams. Osimhen did well when he first came in, struggled a couple of seasons, refined his game with Crava. And I guarantee you, if Crava stays next season, you're going to see it because Davide Calibra essentially wrote the book on how to defend him. And Juve, even the Juve game, made him a non-factor when we played against them. So it shifts. My point here being is, yes, it shifts. They get figured out. Where I'm holding Allegri accountable for is he needs to pull the trigger on the 4-3-3. He can't.
Yeah.
At this point, it's Europa League or bust.
Yeah,
again,
you have to get it.
Tentative points, whatever. You want to really surprise Sevilla? You come at Sevilla with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 or anything. Anything at this point. Because the 3-5-2 is done. I think it's run its course. It's over. It's done.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's done.
It's smart. And I think a lot of it too is you need new ways to rotate players in. And that for me is one of the biggest things of where we failed on the weekend was the guys were just tired. We saw that earlier in the season when the schedule was really compressed just before the World Cup there. Basically similar schedule as to what we have now. And same thing, Kostic was sort of the first to give up because he's relied so heavily upon, right? And because Dash, as you mentioned, how he was the centerpiece in a sense, right? He was the creator. When he's worn out, you don't get anything.
You don't get the maximum output. It's the same. And and the thing is also that Achilles injury he picked up with Serbia. I mean, that's going to play a factor into it as well. I mean, we got to be objective here. And one of the things is like we got to look at it. Oh, okay. This, 2 + 2 is 4. That's quick maths and all that other baloney. But like you got to look at it from that. 2 + 2 is 4. It's not Allegri plus nothing is trash. There's Allegri plus poor man management or poor player performance that equals trash. It's the honest to God thing, because the thing is like, say that we switch Allegri for Conte. The second we get the 15-point deduction, Conte's like, see ya, I'm out. You have Sarri going out on the thing saying, oh, it's a rigged league, blah, blah, blah. I bet you Sarri would have just been like, well, fuck, I can't do anything. I'm done.
Yeah. And he would have been blaming. He would have not looked pretty, essentially.
Yeah. So there's pluses to Allegri that brings in stability and holds it there. Again, do I think Allegri is the guy that take us to the promised land? Probably not. I think it's fair to say it. Probably not. Unless there's some philosophy change that he makes. I don't think he's taking us to Champions League glory. I don't.
No.
But coaches, in my opinion, I think he's a transitional coach. I think he's a transitional coach to the next big thing, or to the next man.
Let's transition to that next big thing then, because we put a poll on Twitter. Sorry, what did I call it? Twitter. Okay, so the question was, and I'll pull it up here on the screen. Zidane to Juventus next. Explain your choice below. As always, the best answers will be featured on our YouTube to be discussed. So that's right now. So 91% said yes. Okay. So heavy in the Zidane favor. And we'll go. We have one yes, please, but it won't work. So at least he's honest. Why not? he just wants something other than Allegri.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Again, it's fair to have that opinion. You know,
Just
you
like
want to try something new. It's a fair opinion. Like we're not a YouTube channel that's going to call you a dumbass for your opinion. Like you can have your opinion. The only thing that Dave and I get irritated with is when someone makes a claim and says something, and then we're like, okay, great. Well, why do you think that way? Oh, just because he's ass. That's what kind of grinds our gears.
Yeah, and I get sometimes it's in jest, right? If you're saying just Allegri out, that's not jest. When you say like Nadir here, easy, he is an Allegri. Okay, you're trying to be funny. I get that. I mean, okay, cool. I like funny. Funny's good, right? We can all laugh.
So like for example, if you look at the Andar one, like he actually brings up a point here. So he says, so it says problems struggled in recent years and inconsistency and underperformance in both domestic and international competitions. My argument for international competitions is, were we posed to win anything? In all honesty, because for me, when you look at the Champions League, guys, it's either you win it or you don't. Like, I'm sorry, we're not a small club. We're not like, oh, well, if you make it to the semifinals, congratulations. Like, I don't really care too much for that, because for us, it's win the Champions League or you don't. There's no middle thing. And then he says, Zidane has a proven track record of success and has shown his ability to manage and motivate some of the world's best players. It's a fair point. It's a fair argument. So, and then can you click show more on his original
That is
post?
Indonesian. Oh, sorry.
No. To the
Yeah.
So it says bring in coach ... show more. So bringing in a coach with Zidane's pedigree and experience could be seen as a move to reignite the team's winning mentality and gets it. Zidane only has 5 years as a head coach.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ton of experience.
It's not that much. So that's where it kind of like, I understand where you're going with at this, but at the same time, I'm like, you got to remember, like, yes, he has a winning pedigree. Totally get that. 100%. But like, dude's only managed 16, 17, 18. Those are the first 3 years, the tripleta. And then he left and then came back for, I believe it was 19, 20. And then he left again. So Sunday League is a good prominent Twitter guy. So he says, yes, Juventus DNA knows the league. That makes sense. Winning player as a coach, yes. Not a system coach. I don't understand. Neither Allegri isn't a system either. Because like Zidane and Allegri don't really have systems.
Yeah.
Because
well, and maybe that's just a bonus. Maybe he's not disagreeing with Allegri.
Yeah. Defensive priority, yeah, that's same thing as Allegri. Needs a team full of superstars, debatable. He got the best out of bench players like Isco, James, Morata, and Asensio. So Isco was a golden boy player. So again, he was like the next big thing. James, again, one of those guys that was touted as the next big thing because of his performance at the 2014 World Cup. Morata, say what you guys want about Morata, but Morata knows how to score clutch goals in the He's one of those guys. He's done it for Madrid and he's done it for us. Asensio was another youth product he was kind of like the Fajoli of Real Madrid, but he just never panned out.
Yeah, he flopped a little. He's not bad. He just never really got huge.
Yeah. And then you got to remember too, where he says relied heavily on the bench for his double. Yeah, but Real Madrid's bench is another first team in anywhere else.
yeah, let's be honest.
So that's there. But this is a good argument, and I believe he continues more. To add, never demanded expensive transfers because, to be honest, Fiorentino Perez said, no, we're not giving you anything. Back to squad, Navas and Benzema on 5 goals, won trophies without excuses, immediate respect to the locker room. That's fair.
There's some decent points there.
And then Sechin says, as a player, he's a genius. As a manager, I'm skeptical. To me, his Real Madrid stunt wasn't enough to prove anything. Real can win the Champions League with or without him. And then Sunday League responds to him saying, and yet they haven't won one in years. I don't understand that. They won the Champions League last season, and they also won the Champions League the season before, prior to, with Ancelotti in 13-14, and then they won it literally the season after Zidane left. So I don't know about that. I'm not too sure about that argument there. but we can move on.
Patrick, if for nothing else, a new vision is needed, I think it makes sense to pair a new board with new manager to align visions and ideas.
That's
Yeah,
fine. That's
yeah,
fine. That is our argument here at the Turin Giants. Danny says Zidane managed the richest club in the world and was a great success. Madrid are a club that you can buy a player and not constrained by the financial system of Serie A. Unfortunately, our club is difficult and in financial trouble. We cannot afford the bigger players. Yes, that is also one thing that we need to take into account. And
yeah.
then
It's a concern. You don't know.
yeah, Dave, feel free to cut in on me if I keep going. But Will says I'm skeptical. Zidane is a wonderful coach, but he's got a certain pulling factor for players. Again, yes, he can draw some top talented French players, which is a massive positive. But we don't have the kind of team Real did, nor the money. He's a motivator, just like Allegri, which I think fits the club better. So there, yeah, a lot of people are saying there's a lot of parallelisms with him.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a newer Allegri. You kind of
yeah.
yeah,
The
it's like you
French
said.
Allegri. Swadim says could work depending on what players he'll have at his disposal. I think it could be a huge impact on our younger players, plus might solve the Dusan problem. He knows the club and the city well. But here's the thing. Can Zidane solve the Dusan problem? Because he didn't do it with Benzema. He essentially turned Benzema into a feeder for Ronaldo. Benzema strived under Ancelotti. So Juventino John Lu says yes because he's won a CL. He can manage high profile players. No, because we've never seen him outside of Real Madrid with a team who wasn't full of superstars. I am not sure he'll continue utilizing youth players. Next gen is a perfect chance to build a first team properly.
I like
I,
that. I like that at the
I
end.
like that. You know, the thing is I got to give a shout out to you guys on Twitter, man. You guys have some of the best responses. Like, I love it. Ivan says many options for him out there, bigger salary, bigger budget. If Zidane really chose Juve, then it means he wants to fully challenge himself, which it will be a challenge. He
Yeah,
must already know the current situation of the club, and by doing it at Juve, it means he'll have to do it with heart, and he loves this club. All right.
yeah.
Good take.
It's a good angle too.
It's a
Yeah,
good take.
and Amit, he was on our last podcast
Our
with
good
Pepe.
friend Amit says, I know at Real Madrid he had an incredible squad, one of the best ever with peak Cristiano for much of his time. But his football philosophy is what we need at Juventus, especially with such a young, talented squad. He is available. We may never get the chance to get him. So if you watch this, can you comment on what you think Zidane's football philosophy is? I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah,
Because
that
for
would
me,
be good to
yeah,
hear.
because for me, he seems kind of like, again, defensively sound, hit people on the counter attack, similar to Allegri, similar to Carlo, because he actually was an understudy of Carlo Ancelotti. Again, another comment saying I'm skeptical because he had one of the best squads ever. One goat says Zidane's success was mostly down to the squad he had. He will come to Juve and fail, then the world will blame him at Juve for his failure. And that's the devil's advocate right there. Makes sense.
And that could happen, right?
It could.
If he fails, it won't be pretty.
And then David said, coach that won both as a player and a coach at the highest level, well respected by all Juventino, not to mention different game plan and philosophy at the table. If the wages aren't absolutely mental, why not? I need to figure out, because I want to know what people view, and I think we might ask this on Twitter. What do people think Zidane's philosophy as a coach is? That one I really want to know.
That's a good next question. We can feature
Yeah.
it next.
And then Nico saying no, maybe in some time Zidane walked into a prime Madrid with world-class players. And Juve needs someone who can build from the ground up. I'd take Pirlo back before Zizou. I wish he still held on to him for another season to show what he could do. Then we probably wouldn't be in the Champions League, just going off of the team we had the following season.
Yeah, but I mean, stuck by a point, so I like it.
That's fair. Yeah. Yusuf saying, I know he is a similar type of manager like Allegri, but I think what Juve need today is everything or something that will be able to attract big names and players to rebuild a tarnished image. And then can you move over a little bit, just because I see Kizaru saying players will want to play for Zizou. Again, you need a sporting director and a player that can pull in players for a project. And then I say, no, Ronaldo didn't work. I don't think Juve need high-profile characters. He's going to ask for a lot of expensive players, and I could be wrong. I just want Juve to succeed. And it's funny, his name is Pogba's knee.
Yeah. That was all of them. We got through most, so
We
they were
did.
good. I mean, I said we'll pick the best answers. They were all pretty good. So I mean, we spent a few minutes on it. Why not?
And the thing is, I want to give kudos to you guys because, like, for example, that just goes to show that the community that we built here at the Turin Giants, because, like, for example, everyone there, besides, like a couple of joking comments, because we know people joke around, but like all concise arguments It's not, emotional spams, emotional rants, or crying about stuff like that, even though ironically it sounds like we're doing this now. But um, it's, hey, this is what I think. This is why I think it. And that's the community that Dave and I want here at the Turin Giants as a whole. We
Mhm.
want a community. That's why we did the call-in show where we had 6 viewers all come in and talk to each other. Like, for
We'll do that
example,
on Saturday, by the
and
way.
we are gonna do that on this Sat we're doing this on Saturday again. But, like, for example, you can have, like, for example, one of the I love this conversation that they had. You had Misak that was talking, that saying that, "I do not like Manchester United. I don't think they're doing anything great." And you had Sam that was more for Manchester United, kinda talking about how we should do what Man U did. Those 2 talked about it, said, "This is my reason. That's my reason." Great conversation. That's
Right.
why we did this Twitter poll, because we wanted to see how you guys thought, and it just goes to show how much we love you guys as a community here, because we're able to have these conversations. We're not sitting here, we're not doing passive aggressive comments like that where it's like, "Oh, Allegri's this," or blah blah blah. We're able to do stuff like this and just have concise arguments. And, like, for example,
Mhm.
we've had people come on and call us out, and we've always responded to the comments. We've always talked to people that have come in, called us, and said, "Hey, Dash, I don't think this point makes sense." Great. Let's have a constructive conversation. We don't make a blasphemous claim and then duck, because it's just
No,
not
no,
how
we're
we
here.
roll.
We're here. Well, we're talking. We want to talk about it. We always want to involve the community. That's why we're doing it, because we're fans. That's why we're doing it. We love being Juve fans, and we love just being around anything Juve, right? So that includes you guys. So please get involved. Leave the comments. Let us know what you think, and pay attention for that next Twitter poll.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Dash. I guess that's it. We covered everything. So thanks everyone for joining us for a little mini pod. And of course, if you're watching this before the Bologna game, we will do the pregame on Saturday, the watch along on Sunday, and we will see you on the Juve Twitch on Monday.
And
Sorry.
yeah, and then again, guys, for Saturday, second half of the pregame show will be a call-in sector. So we will be doing a roundtable talk where we'll be having all of you guys come in at once. Again, Dave and I will moderate. You guys will most likely do all the talking, and you can talk about, hey, this is what I think. You can talk about Zidane. You can talk about Bologna. You can talk about Inter. You can talk about Allegri. We give you, the viewers, the floor. We don't charge you guys to come on. You just call in. You just do your thing. Speak your piece. The only thing that we ask is for you guys to be respectful. Don't, any baloney or anything like that. But, like, come in like a radio talk show. We'll do a panel. You guys will talk, do your thing, have fair discussion, have some discourse. So again, us as a Juventus community can have constructive conversations where we can have this discussion at the table, because again, we're just 2 guys that are commenting on sports that are just sitting there having a conversation with you guys. So we want you guys to have the conversation back with us.
That being said, Dash gets into these conversations with himself. He's the one that's got to leave. Dash, I'm cutting you off.
I
Thanks
talk to
everyone.
myself in the mirror, guys. Like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah, he's whatever. He does his own thing. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening along. Also, and I know I should have said this at the beginning, YouTube will now allow us to label this as a podcast. And if you're one of the few people, I'm one of them, I'm the minority, I understand, on YouTube Music, you can, and I don't know if it actually works yet. I've tried to do it. Let us know. But on YouTube Music, you can watch or listen to us without having to watch us on these podcast style shows when we label them such. This is one. So YouTube Music people, test that out for us. Let us know if you can find us, because I'm not too sure. Thanks everyone. Thanks Dash, and we'll catch you later.